Blessings, welcome forward to Reasons Right at the Chair Life. I'm your host, Talaku the Great. I was just giving you a beautiful sight of the wonderful tree of life. Yes, and today we'll be talking about, some more of the Aboriginal rights and some of the issues relating to sovereignty and Aboriginals. So, we're gonna get to it as we set the camera down. Here we go. Perfect in its alignment. There we go. Yes, guys, here we are. Sounding like contemporary, sounding like the contemporary world. There goes Babylon sirens, right? Get everything gathered in, right? Yes. Irie. Okay, let me stabilize everything before it gets all wonky. Hold on with me. Yes, guys, you're getting the real 100% today. All right. There we go. Properly rested up. Ha! Now I'm styling. Okay, guys, so. Okay, I'm still not pleased. Still not level. Sorry again. Not level. One more. One more attempt. One more attempt. Okay. All right. That looks a lot more level. Yes. Doesn't look like it's tumbling over. Finally, after 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It's overcast, guys. So, on the Trail Life, the umbrella of life, you can see it's windy as well. So, this video will be a little bit of a shorter video. I got my water bottle with me. A gift from the guild, music guild. Just had a design meeting with my employee as we were discussing some designs between me and her. And yeah, it was really good to have gotten that. Sorry, this is multitasking. However, I had to put it into the video as well too, because guess what? The rain kind of pushed everything back so far that I have to be starting, or everything is gonna be just wet. So yes, my design book. I get a sneak and a look. Designs. Right? Yes, that's how you're gonna get. Right? So those are my own designs before they go into any kind of production and such. All right, enough enough stalling, as they would say, and very enthralling though it may be. Yes. All right, everything's packed up in case it rains heavier. All right, so we're going to talk about Aboriginals and sovereignty, because there have been lots of videos out there practically about this, especially here in Jamaica and all over the Americas, the so-called Caribbean. And it leaves a lot to be said, because as I've come to understand it, right, you have a lot of individuals who are promising the masses and others who are interested in their information the opportunity to access certain duty-free movements, travel without certain economic restrictions, without the need for certain so-called documents of citizenship and so forth, because you'll have a sovereignty card or a nationality card or something that represents your status that is indigenous amongst the world's community. So therefore you could travel over the world, or you could go to the supermarket and do things, or certain things. Now, a lot of the information that's being said, there is some palatability to it. Let's get it clear. There are sovereigns, and there are certain declarations that have been enacted through certain law and jurisprudence to recognize sovereign rights as it relates to your autochthonous and indigenous rights, especially through documentation, your connection to Aboriginal nations, right? Through documentation, family, heritage, records. You have to actually prove that you're a part of a autochthonous, indigenous, or Aboriginal tribes, and those tribes would have had through treaty or through agreements with the mercantile system, through the states that are created through admiralty law. These agreements would have given their nationals, these Aboriginal nations or indigenous nations, it would have given their nationals who are declared through documentation, heritage and heredity, kinship and otherwise, it will give them a right to have certain, I would say, exemptions that aren't afforded to citizens, ward and serfs under the mercantile. It might seem a lot, but I'm going to break a lot of it down in even more palatable tidbits. Now, not every so-called indigenous or Aboriginal nation is autochthonous and is actually of the land, autochthonous. So you have many definitions like natives, Native Americans, and natives just mean that you're born in the land. Natives don't mean that you are Aboriginal or autochthonous, which is you're actually from the land. So these are all terminologies, some are connotation and some are denotation. So your awareness of law is very important, or those who are taking you through these processes must also understand law, jurisprudence and jurisdiction. Are a lot of these declarations that you're making, are they ratified and recognized within the particular jurisdiction in which you're operating? Let's say you're operating from Jamaica. Does Jamaica government recognize these clauses in this so-called sovereignty document that you recognize? Under what legal infrastructure within the mercantile, within our so-called Jamaican nation state was this recognized, ratified, and put to policy, right? Put into law. So you can't just take something from somebody else's jurisdiction and says hence it applies here. So as it relates to these waivers, I don't have specific information to the waivers because I've never sought to become a systematic sovereign. I've never sought to go depolling my name, as I know there's some nom-de-guerre issues with my name, but my name isn't a registered product or a service. So I'm Talaku, hallelujah, the great owl. So for me, sovereignty is the actuality of what sovereign is. I am Taheno, I am a Makan. I cannot be inferenced from somebody else's reference. I cannot be referred to or inferred to. I have to be respected as the first person speaking to you in direct reference to the way in which you should see me legally and lawfully. So this point I'm referring to is my Aboriginal right to be a denotation, not a connotation. So for us, in our understanding, custodial rights means land, air and water rights. That refers to the ability to expropriate the mineral, the environmental, the physical and emotional value of the land, the aggregate land, and in unison with the people create a culture, an existence, a tradition that is sacrosanct with those values. That's where customs, where the fundamental structure of law comes from, and hence the beginning point of understanding your sovereign right, that through organized movement, Aboriginal nations and indigenous nations go to the United Nations or to the World Court or to the Supreme Court of each nation state and will lobby the legislature, the structure of the judiciary to recognize treaties that the prior signed with said Aboriginals that afforded us, like in America, 40 acres and a mule and other rights that were subsequently not recognized or just flatly denied. Now these particular, I would say, subtexts, right, are the fundamental basis on which Aboriginal sovereignty is rooted now. You have to establish the genetic line of kin to the denoted owner of the estate to truly prove heirship and rights to land, air and water. In Jamaica, all the land is owned by King Charles and his heirs and is leased to whomever. But King Charles and his heirs don't come from Jamaica. So as a sovereign, you can't just be an individual in parley without the establishment completely of the Taino nations and our nation state. Not just in the context of a political structure, like onto the mercantile, or some would say under common law with the Maroons, right? Which they don't have the full brevity of the law, because certain things are still under the ambits of the mercantile. And then you have these organizations like the Bureau of Indian Affairs and others like them in America that become the middleman between the invading mercantile Admiralty people, right, the so-called white man, and the Native Americans, right, or the indigenous tribes. And then you have the American Indian, the real black autochthonous people of the land, through civil rights and reclassification, colored, black, and all manner of titles have lost their autochthonous rights. So there's no land, air, and water rights. They're really serf on the wards of the state. And as people talk about their sovereignty, and you have the Moorish American movements that we speak about it, and different people within these movements, and there's similar movements in Jamaica, always talking about their cards and their travel allowances and waivers and such. And again, these are all under contexts between agreements that has been ratified between Aboriginal nations that have been recognized and understood to have foundation premise to self-autonomy, property, heritage, and history in the particular landmass. So after these rights have been established through paper trail, the waivers are recognized to certain degrees, right? It's not a one brush paints all and just covers everything for everyone. No, because there are different nations, hallelujah, different tribes, kindreds, and tongues amongst us here in the North Gate in America, in the Americas, right? Or North America, for those to be specific, right? So sovereignty and nationality now is different from just a national identity. Like, we are saying, oh, we are Jamaicans, which is connotation, not denotation, right? Hamakan, that would be denotation, right? But, like you say, national identity, we are Jamaicans and we are reggae people, or we are track and field people, and so that's a national identity. Sovereignty and autochthonous rights, or Aboriginal rights, go deeper. If oil, as I said in the previous video, is discovered offshore for real, we, the Jamaican so-called people, cannot have right to the gross share of that oil, because we literally don't own the water, air, and the land. And it's not because we're under this ideology that we are nondescript Africans. That's not it. That is part of it, because that's part of their brainwash indoctrination system. it is also the fact that we are so subdivided amongst ourselves that we don't have respect for the generations that preceded us and those that preceded them, and the gnosis or the knowledge that they passed down. Because a lot of what they passed down was in contrary or inconvenience to what we are now holding on to. They never talk about any of the stuff that we're currently latching on to in the way we're talking about it. So there's a time when all this African knowledge and this African centric philosophy or Pan-Africanism, not Pan-Americanism, but Pan-Africanism, not Pan-Aboriginalism, but Pan-Africanism started here in Jamaica and also in all of the Atlantean Islands and also in Israel, so-called, hallelujah, America, through Israel, hallelujah, right? So many of the autochthonous information has been hijacked by these middle people who got access to that information through their different fraternities, their fraternal organization. So the kind of sovereignty that you're talking about through the context is already spoke about before, right? Through treaties and ratifying these treaties and forcing the Admiralty states to recognize these sovereign rights or these national rights in terms of status, right? Fundamentally different from national identity. You know, apart from that knowledge that they have, right? They are constantly intertwining falsehoods, hallelujah, with this knowledge. So they mislead a lot of people because it is not only on an individual scale, nor should it be taken just on an individual scale, like people saying, I'm going to deed poll my name and become Mufasa Subasa, right? Because that's my ancestral name. I follow my ancestral traditions as I am discovering them, right? I've taken a name that symbolizes in the Amerindian tradition, or in the so-called Amerindian Taino tradition, the sign of the zodiac, which I previously called myself. According to that, people might say, whoa, what do you do that? You can do whatever. I do what I want. Living being, spiritual being. I have my own self, you know. So I chose the great owl because I'm a December born, and it relates to your gifts, your attributes, your talents. And so that was one of the fundamental premise of self-declaration. But then to become the manifest fullness of their paper trail sovereign, not the sovereign being, you know, but the paper trail sovereign, the deed poll would have become necessary, and you go register with the mercantile. And so now you begin to trade under another name, and it's no longer, which is now you say is your own name, and it's no longer Nom de Gear. And I understand that, oh, fine. But if you come to me and I say, I am old, great owl, and you insist you're going to refer to me as Jerome Butler, and I told you I'm the great owl, you insist through your paper trail that Jerome Butler is who I am, when very much you know that is a product and a stock that you own as a strawman on the mercantile. When I say Taloku the great owl, I am saying the living being. You want to deal, you want to trade with me, you're going to trade with, hallelujah, Taloku the great owl. You're not going to trade with Jerome Butler, even if I'm going to put Jerome Butler as the strawman on those documents. Yeah? We can all continue the legal fiction, because that's all it is. But you're not going to mistake Jerome Butler for Taloku the great owl. And this is the understanding again of sovereignty. We have to stand on something authentic, autochthonous, and original. That is how you grow into the being that you are to become, not in the image and in inference and reference of somebody else. When you use that reference point, make it be a caricature, like I said previously, of your own design, of your own idea, right? So when I'm using that reference point to say, oh, this is Taloku the great owl, this is how I see myself, in reference to your idea of Jerome Marshall Butler. And that's all I'm saying. So flashing a card saying you're some kind of a private citizen, all of those are ward and serf. They're still under the mercantile. We are not full free. We do not have the land, air, and water rights as Aboriginal or Taitinos Hamakans. We do not. So be very careful when you're processing this information from all these different angles that it's going to be coming at you from. Because some people are mixing sorcery and dark magic with this information. And you can see clearly they're working magic and sorcery, but some people are just blinded by this reality. I don't know how come they're missing it, but anyway, they're missing it. And the rains have come and cleansed everything. And yes, some things did get wet, but you know, that's the nature of life, you know. Especially living in the land of wood and water, right? This is Hamaka, you know, we are fertile, yeah? So within these little smart mouths or wannabes that are trying to sell the sovereignty of personage without us literally having the structure of our Aboriginal nations established, re-established, recognized, even though the United Nations have recognized the 5 indigenous nations down here. There's still not enough treaties, there's still not enough ratifying, recognizing and implementation of the agreements under these treaties for us to truly be full free. The King of England is still the head of state, and it's still the other one that is called sovereign here. Sovereign head of state, if you get what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm a little drizzled on, so if you notice the awkward behavior, hey, when I get a little wet, I know my clothes is good, you know, I hand sew it, but anyway, that awkwardness. Anyway, so we all want to think that we just want to go anywhere, can go anywhere, and just this red card, you know, Aboriginal card, oh, you know. But let's come back to the realities and the actualities of life, yeah, that if you have value, you trade. And most of us, the values we find ourselves trading is what you can do with your hands. The manual from the Emmanuel, right? That's what we have, that psychomatics, mind and body. And so we get bought and traded on the human bond certification system. We are birthed just like the ships, and the package be our children, bought and sold, traded, right? Your time, your strength, your longevity, that's what's being traded. We've lost our Taitinos rights to can dig for diamonds and gold, oil, right? To sell the water that is being sold at high premium price to every other nation, and we can't reap the rewards. Whatever it is that we can actually have the benefit of it, we don't have that. Those are sovereign rights. Not driving through in some blood money sports car, super sports car, or one of those hyper cars, hyper sports cars, whatever you want to call it, right? So if we really want sovereign rights, we have to spend more time investing in uncovering the heritage of Hamaka through the eyes of the Taino, through documentation and separating those who came here through chattel slavery from those who are here autonomously, to establish the separating bloodlines, not just in phenotype, but in hapla blood work as well too. Yeah, so we can know what is Aboriginal from what is native and indigenous under the law. And that's not the law to seize, by the way. Oh my word. What a video this one has been, right? Most unusual. You guys catch my plants out there? Yes. And as I put them out there, kind of like thinking the rain was gonna fall, but thinking that I was gonna be up under the heavens when the rain is falling, which is covered, by the way, which you know. But the video just started here after the meeting, and I was like, oh, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And yeah, I'm not sad, because this was usually how trail life always was. that I and a few others, many would, it's like, it was like an initiation, right? Like, rain is falling, let's see who's gonna crack first. Literally, I used to stay under here until, I'm literally soaking, and I'll be the last one, hallelujah, here. So obviously, if we had bags like I do, I would have, given it to somebody and they would take it up there, or where it's dry. I didn't have this luxury right now, so that explains that. But since the video started with this, unusual start, it kind of ends the same way. The rain is stopping now, so it's gonna be quite okay as it drains off. It's been an excellent moment. I'm happy that you were here joining me for these reasons right here at the Trail Life, and it's actually at the Trail Life, and I get to show you the Trail Life without bars or restrictions. The new flora, fauna, well, flora, I didn't get to catch the fauna, which is the chickens, which are now taking over, like broods of them. And I guess they're very educated because they don't make a lot of noise, which is very, very educated of these chickens, roosters and all, and chicks and all. Yes, do I hope as a nation state we return? Because you're talking about the growth and the development of the human experience. Is it so much a Sankofa idea of looking back to go forward? Maybe. I think we are already who we are, and given the chance without the interference, then we are going to be exactly the taino that we are, and live the Artatinos, hallelujah, Aboriginal life. So I'm just thinking I'm putting a foot further towards my ultimate, hallelujah, destiny and our ultimate destiny. So this is going to be the way things are ultimately going to be eventually. And it might be 200 years off, hallelujah, maybe 250, maybe even a little bit more, but I think around about there in my estimation, hallelujah. So yeah, we got to step out, declare, and these charlatans are going to be in the middle. They'll bring some of us to a part of the way of the information, the rest we're going to have to go. Some of us are going to have to become lawyers to decipher denotation and connotation and inferences and references and all of these little suki soup. Anyway, I think my battery power is about to go. I'm getting my little warning, so I just want to give thanks once again, for you joining me here. And I think because I started up close and personal, I think I should also end up close and personal, right? So you can get a little light on the situation, right? Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. So I'm not too wet, Give thanks to the Aboriginal nature of existence, right as in Amaka. Tree of life, my life is there. Me give thanks to yesterday, today, and tomorrow, me there. Hey, love and light and happiness, me say. Talaku the great owl, me say. January, February, December, them say. What are the rising and the setting and the sun and moon, me say. Hey, me say, enough things Jah bless, me say. Yeshua Mashiach are the head of everything, me say. More love and light and liberty. Aboriginal style. Aboriginal. Yes, original, right?